Voyager 1 survived the darkness, crossed into interstellar space, and continued whispering back secrets from the edge of everything we know. But recently, something changed. After months of silence and a problematic data system, Voyager 1 came back online, and the message it returned with raised questions about its environment. It carried a steady stream of data, possibly indicating unexpected conditions, and a cautious approach from NASA that suggests ongoing analysis. This isn't just another deep space anomaly. This is a reminder that the edge of our solar system holds mysteries we are still working to understand. The region beyond our solar system is complex, and our knowledge is still evolving. For decades, Voyager 1 has been the quiet hero of space exploration, a distant relic of human ambition, traveling deeper than any object we've ever sent into the stars. It has outlived predictions, surpassed expectations, and continued transmitting even as its systems aged beyond reason. But in late 2023, something shifted. NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory noticed the data being received from Voyager 1 had become incomprehensible. Lines of raw, garbled noise replacing what were once clean streams of scientific measurements. The spacecraft's flight data system, essentially its memory and processing unit, had malfunctioned. It was still sending a signal, but that signal was filled with chaos. For 5 months, NASA worked diligently, unsure if Voyager was even capable of understanding the commands being sent to it. Every attempt to reestablish communication had to endure a delay of nearly 45 hours, 22.5 hours to reach the spacecraft, and another 22.5 to receive a response. The effort was painstaking, delicate, and filled with uncertainty. But then, against all odds, something changed. On August 27, 2024, Voyager responded. And it didn't just respond with a carrier signal. It sent back information. The engineers celebrated, but as they began to analyze the data, they realized something was intriguing. The data aligned with known parameters, but the environment it was reporting suggested unexpected conditions. The instruments were functioning. The spacecraft was stable, but the interstellar medium it was exploring showed variations that puzzled scientists. Something out there was different, and Voyager had captured it. For years, the heliopause, the invisible boundary where the sun's influence ends and interstellar space begins, was thought to be a fading gradient, a subtle transition into the emptiness beyond. But Voyager 1's newly transmitted readings painted a different picture entirely. What the probe encountered was not a gentle slope, but a complex region, with variations in plasma, pressure, and particle density far more dynamic than any model had predicted. It wasn't just a shift in the solar wind. It was a dynamic zone, where conditions fluctuated in ways that challenged existing theories. The most notable detail came from the density measurements. The probe had recorded fluctuations in particle density, suggesting the interstellar medium was more turbulent than expected. The instruments indicated a kind of variability, like ripples in the cosmic environment, a dynamic pulse in the dark. This wasn't static interference or machine error. It was consistent, mapped across multiple instruments, and grew more pronounced the deeper Voyager pushed. The data hinted at something profound, that the edge of our solar system wasn't simply a border. It was a dynamic, complex frontier. Buried inside the re-established data was something that sparked curiosity, a pattern in the plasma wave measurements, low frequency, continuous, and notably regular. At 3 kHz, it sat within the range of natural plasma wave oscillations. It wasn't a transmission in the traditional sense. No message, no modulation. But its consistency was what made it intriguing. This frequency had been detected faintly by Voyager years earlier, but it was considered part of the interstellar medium's natural variability. Now, with clearer data and enhanced processing, it became more noticeable. The pattern had always been there. It just hadn't been prominent enough to stand out until Voyager moved deeper. What made it more puzzling was its regularity. It didn't shift dramatically with solar radiation. It wasn't disrupted by electromagnetic storms. It was stable, like a steady hum in the fabric of interstellar space. Some tried to explain it away as a natural plasma resonance. But as Voyager advanced, the pattern remained, not in intensity, but in consistency. It wasn't just background, it was a feature of the environment. More defined the deeper the probe moved into interstellar space. Within mission control, the focus intensified. They couldn't fully explain the pattern, but they knew one thing for certain. This was part of the interstellar medium's complexity. And with that realization came the questions scientists were eager to explore. What if Voyager wasn't just measuring space? What if it was revealing a new layer of the cosmos? As the latest telemetry was analyzed, NASA uncovered one last point of interest. Voyager 1's trajectory showed slight variations, not due to propulsion or hardware degradation, but possibly from interactions with the interstellar medium. Calculations of its path, when compared against earlier projections, revealed minor deviations. The region Voyager was heading through contained no stars, no planets, and no known celestial bodies. Yet, the data suggested subtle influences, perhaps from uncharted cosmic structures. NASA began aiming other instruments, space-based observatories, deep radio arrays, toward the region, hoping to contextualize what Voyager was sensing. But they found limited correlating data. No light, no heat, no clear mass signature detectable from Earth. Only the vast interstellar medium. And the variations persisted. Some suggested it might be interactions with dense regions of interstellar dust, magnetic fields, or uncharted plasma structures. But none of those hypotheses fully explain the data. Not the patterns, not the dynamic zone, not the trajectory variations. Voyager wasn't entering a new region by chance. It was probing a frontier that challenges our models. And still, the probe moves forward, alone, but no longer unnoticed. As Voyager 1's data returned and its findings began to spark discussion within the scientific community, NASA maintained its standard protocols. Updates from the Deep Space Network continued to be shared, though the complexity of the data required careful analysis before public release. Mission logs remained accessible, and the engineering team continued their work, sharing updates as they progressed. With ongoing official updates, discussion erupted among researchers around the globe. Some attributed the trajectory variations to interactions with dense interstellar dust, an uncharted region dense enough to influence Voyager's path. Others theorized that the plasma wave patterns might be the residue of natural cosmic processes, a dynamic feature of the interstellar medium that aligned with Voyager's journey. But then came the more speculative ideas that the patterns were unique to this region, that the trajectory variations suggested uncharted structures, that Voyager had entered a domain pushing the boundaries of known physics. A few researchers pointed to earlier anomalies recorded by Pioneer 10 and 11, slight but unexplained decelerations dismissed at the time as thermal effects. Now, some wondered if those early probes had grazed a region Voyager was now exploring more deeply. The most thought-provoking hypothesis, though, came from a group of astrophysicists that Voyager wasn't moving toward a single object, but through a complex region, that its presence, its signals, its trajectory were revealing a dynamic part of space we hadn't fully understood, a frontier that only becomes apparent when probed directly. Even for those who cling to scientific explanations, the impact of Voyager's data is undeniable. We've always believed in boundaries: Earth, the Moon, Mars, the heliopause. We've always seen space as a blank canvas, a passive backdrop for our instruments and ambitions. But now, with this discovery, that belief is evolving. Because if space isn't just empty, if the edges of our solar system are dynamic, variable, or complex, then the universe isn't just a playground. It's a system, and like any system, it may have properties, patterns, and mysteries we're only beginning to uncover. Voyager 1, once a symbol of limitless human curiosity, now floats as something more profound, a messenger returning not just with data, but with questions. If the probe is indeed navigating a complex frontier, if its path is shaped by cosmic interactions, then we must ask, what lies beyond the dark? And more urgently, should we keep exploring? Voyager 1 was never meant to return like this. It was a relic, a goodbye letter to the stars, drifting into silence. But against all odds, it spoke again. And that renewed voice didn't bring final answers. It brought a question, one that echoes louder than any signal. What if the edge of the solar system was never a boundary, but a frontier? What if the silence we've heard from space was never emptiness, but complexity? What if Voyager didn't just observe the void, but illuminated it? The plasma wave patterns, the trajectory variations, the dynamic fluctuations. They may be data points on a screen, yes, but they may also be clues, hints that the fabric of space itself is not as simple as we believed. That beyond the warmth of our sun, there are regions more intricate than we imagined, waiting to be explored. And now, we must ask the question scientists are eager to pursue. Was sending Voyager out there the spark for new discoveries? Let us know what you believe. Was Voyager 1's path shaped by chance or by the cosmos itself? Is the darkness beyond our system just space? Or is it a frontier of new knowledge? Leave your thoughts in the comments. And if you're ready to follow the next chapter from the cosmos, subscribe and hit the notification bell, because whatever's out there is still revealing itself.